All right, guys. Today we got one of our friends, Kyle's friends, Rachel here, and we're gonna be interviewing her to find her personality type. You don't have to go into anything you're not comfortable with, but what you do say we will use. Um, what would you say is something that you're really good at? Like, give me two things you're really good at and two things you're really bad at.
Ooh, okay. Um, I say I'm really good on being organized and I think also sticking to my word. So if I tell you I'm going to do something or be somewhere, I'm really good at that. And bad at probably I don't know if, I mean, I'm very blunt. So sometimes I might say something, kind of don't really take other people's feelings into consideration because I value honesty over sugarcoating stuff. And um, I have a low tolerance for stupidity, or what I would say is like common sense. But you have to remind yourself that common sense is not that common. So,
Okay, so when you say low tolerance for stupidity, what do you mean? Like, can you give us an example of that? Like, how does that manifest for you?
um, okay, so I would something I have to like at my old job, I was a property manager, and I had a team of like 12 employees. So part of my job was to hire and train, new people. And part of that was my first job ever having a role like that, where I was managing other people and training. Like, for example, we were training an admin, very entry level. And I was like training her how to use a computer essentially. And I saw in myself, like, I was getting easily frustrated because I felt like these are things that somebody should know. And that was a learning experience for me. And then also, I mean, I guess just certain things like you kind of go about your daily life. And I don't know, like I said, sometimes you feel like it's common sense. And then you
Mhm.
realize most people don't think like that. So yeah, my tolerance is kind of low. But I don't get like angry about it or freak out or like yell at them or do any of that. I just in my head, I'm just like, okay, this is frustrating.
Okay, okay. You talked about being organized earlier. So, what do you mean by that? Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like organization.
Yeah, just with work. I mean, I have a lot going on. I have a project manager for a real estate development company. So, just I don't know, always having things in their place. I'm even in my home, everything has like a place. I don't like any type of mess or I'm very neat and organized. I color code my closet or color coordinate my closet. But just, day to day activities, like I like to have everything pretty organized.
Okay, okay. What is a skill you've noticed that like you're a lot better at than other people?
Probably taking initiative, I think. So if it's like a group setting and everybody's kind of like, I don't know, deciding on what to do or I kind of feel like I can step up and either have an idea or a plan and kind of like start to put that in place or put that in motion where a lot of people I feel like might just kind of sit back and relax or wait for somebody else to make the decision or wait for somebody else to step up and take control. I think I'm pretty good at that.
Okay. So you think you're pretty good at like taking control?
If need be. Yeah. If nobody else is doing it.
Okay. What if somebody else is
I
doing it?
don't
How do you
need
feel
to,
about that?
it's not like, oh, I'm fine with it. I mean, if it's something that I like specifically would want to do, I'll definitely vocalize that. or something how I feel, like I'll vocalize that. I'm definitely not shy about hiding my opinion, or, if it's an activity, I'll throw it out there and see how people, take it. But if somebody jumps up to take control, I'm perfectly fine sitting back because I'm also very go with the flow too. I like to do a variety of things. I like a variety of different ideas. So, but because I can struggle sometimes with making a decision because I am so go with the flow. So sometimes I want somebody to just make the decision.
Okay. Thomas, anything?
Yeah, sure. So if I'm just trying to, all right, if you could do anything or like, with your life in terms of career, like what would that be?
Oh man. Um, is money a factor?
No.
Okay. Um, I would have a bunch of land and a bunch of animals and like rescue animals and take care of, I don't know, yeah, animals that don't have like a home, or rehabilitate them.
Okay.
And why is that something that appeals to you?
Because feel like I feel like that would give me more of a purpose and happiness than, being in a career where it's like just money, money, money. I don't,
Hmm.
obviously money, everybody wants money, and, and the freedom to be financially free in a way. But like, that's why I asked, is money a factor? Because at the end of the day, if I didn't have to worry about money, I would do something that really just makes my soul happy.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, okay. If you could have three wishes and you can't wish for like unlimited wishes, what would you wish for and why?
Oh, and why? Oh my goodness. Um, okay. Gosh, I wish I had these questions before. Um,
You just used one
good.
wish.
Good one, good one.
Uh,
Okay, so I would say I would wish that the people that I care about close would not have to suffer in life. And why? I mean, because they care about them. I hate to see the people I love suffer. Um, I would wish to be able to see as much of the world as possible before I die, because I love to travel and I'm fascinated by other cultures and learning new things. And I'd say I wish I had a better relationship with my dad and my brother.
Oh, okay. If you could describe, what would somebody describe you in three words? Not you. What would somebody else describe you?
Yeah. Um, Definitely outgoing. Um, Funny. And I think I don't know like a word, but I hold myself to like a high standard. Um, I don't know what you would call that. Just carry
Hi-
myself well, if
High
that,
achiever. A high achiever.
No, like I just carry myself well. Like when people meet, I've been told that, like people that don't really know me, like I have a presence about me. Like if I enter the room, they just kind of feel like this, um, they can just tell that I have like hold myself or carry
Mhm.
myself well.
Mhm. Okay. Now, what would you say for yourself? Three words to describe you.
Definitely outgoing. I love to make people laugh, so I really enjoy like being funny or sarcastic or making jokes. And then I would say caring. I do try to be like empathetic with others and like put myself in their position, even though I might not understand it. I really try to like see outside of my own perspective and try to see like other perspectives.
T, anything?
Um, not at the moment.
How do you spend your days off from work? Like, how do you recharge?
I love to go to the beach. I'll go to the gym. I'll take my dog to the park. I love to be outdoors in nature, by the water. I could just be lazy on the couch, watch TV. I might read a little bit. I'm trying to get better at reading. Um, or I mean, yeah, like I love to be out with friends, but that's usually like on the weekends after I've, worked all week and um because I work from home, so I'm pretty secluded like during the week and that's kind of where I, have my own space and then on the weekends I like to go out and meet up with my friends and be social.
Okay.
What were you like as a child? And I guess in just in general, and also in terms of like how was school for you?
I had a pretty good childhood. I mean, Um, I was involved in sports. I had a good, I mean, I had my close friends. I wouldn't say I was like Miss Popular, but um, I did pretty well in school. I mean, I was like a B student. Wasn't, um, A plus, but and I I didn't really like school though. I was good. I was decent, but I wasn't like that overachiever that, you know. Um, but yeah, as a child, I mean, I guess pretty normal.
You describe yourself as outgoing as a child?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think like I definitely had birthday parties and I would go to friends' birthday parties and um wanted to hit like high school, I'd sneak out a couple times to go to like parties, like high school parties that, you're not supposed to tell your parents about.
Hmm.
Okay. How much do you think about the past?
Not the pa oh, like my whole life.
Just in general, like from day to day.
I don't think I really think about it that much. I mean, I kind of have I kind of have a motto where in life it's very simple, but it could be very broad where it's like shit happens, deal with it.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like how I look at, things that have happened. It's like instead of focusing on, why it happened. Oh my God, this happened. I try to focus on like, okay, it happened. I can't change it. Now I got to like move forward. And how am I going to do that? So I feel like that's kind of like the past. Yeah, I really try not to focus too much on things that I can't change.
Hmm. Okay. That's cool. How much do you think about the future?
I definitely think about the future for sure. Again, I try not to focus too much on it because it's like you don't know. And I mean, a simple little decision could change the trajectory of your life that you know what I mean, that you didn't plan for. Um, and I try not to have too much control on that because it's like I really can't necessarily control the outcome of, 5 years, 10 years from now. But I would say I probably think about the future more than I do the past.
Okay. And how much do you think about being in the moment? And what's your perspective?
I definitely probably enjoy being in the moment. the most, or it comes natural, I guess you could say. So if I'm, out with friends, um, I love being like when I'm having a really good time, which is usually most of the time. I have a good group of friends. We all like to do the same things. Um, sometimes at the end of the night or whatever, it's like, oh, I don't want to go home yet. Like I'm having so much fun.
Mhm.
So I can definitely enjoy the present and not think of too much outside of it. Unless I'm just having a shitty time. And then if I'm having a shitty time, I'll leave.
Okay. How do you go about learning something new?
I'm definitely more of a hands-on person. So I like to practice it or be able to implement it rather than somebody telling me or me reading like step by step.
Mhm.
I like to be like, okay, I need to like physically do it. It'll kind of stick to my brain better.
Mhm.
Obviously, depending on what it is, if it's like, you know, learning, I don't know, learning like a language, if I wanted to learn like a new language, like the best way to learn that is to practice speaking it and to kind of like immerse yourself.
Mhm. Let's say if you were to learn how to let's say you had a year to learn how to play the guitar, how would you go about doing that? A year.
I would get a tutor and I would have somebody show me and I would be sitting there playing with them.
Mhm. Maybe I see. Um, okay. Thomas, anything?
Um, what's like the best piece of advice that you could give your younger self?
I would say, no, well, I feel like I live my life by this now, but like perseverance and resilience, I think is one of the best things that and a person can learn and develop as a skill just to, get through life and life's trials and tribulations and things that happen and, you know, just to not let that get you in a rut and to try to always like persevere and move past it and um, don't let it get you down.
Hmm.
Yeah. Let's say you're dead and gone. What do you want people to remember about you?
That I was always somebody who is honest and I'll tell you my honest truth or opinion and that I always made people laugh and smile. And they never question, nobody would ever question like my loyalty to them as a friend, as a, um, family, you know, relationships. They know that I'm very loyal.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be and why? Mm.
Um, does it have to be a complete change or could it be like a little
It could be whatever you want.
alteration?
It could be whatever you want.
I don't wouldn't want to change it, but I could definitely work on it. Probably just kind of what I said at the beginning, where I'm very blunt. Um, that can be, and I wouldn't want to change it because in this, as blunt as I am, I respect when people are super honest and blunt and just say it straightforward to me. So I do believe that there's a great quality about that. And like I said, a lot of people know, people that are close to me know that like they'll never second guess if I'm telling the truth or if I'm being honest. But there is obviously a caveat to that where you can hurt somebody's feelings or somebody might feel like you know, oh, this girl's a bitch or whatever, and doesn't really care what I'm feeling. And over the years, I've learned to try to like soften my approach to things. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So you say like you're a bitch. How many people told you
Not
that?
in the way of like where I walk around like I'm like stuck up, like that kind of, but like, yeah, I have I can have a very just direct approach to things and the way I say things that people have a hard time, I don't know, like digesting or um I'm I'm not really sensitive in that aspect. And a lot of people I feel like are very sensitive. And so I've had to kind of work on knowing that most people are sensitive and I'm not the most sensitive.
Can you give
Um,
an example, like a based on what you're talking about, like where you said something and somebody like took it the wrong way?
my mom, my
Yeah.
mom is the complete opposite of me. She's very sensitive and she has told me my whole life, Rachel, the way you say things makes me feel like I'm stupid. I'm like, and I'm like, and it's just, she's continued to say it. And, my mom is very sensitive though. And my dad is, I'm like my dad. My dad's like a tough love. And so it's like I definitely see like I got that side from my parent. I got my dad's side and my mom's just very sensitive. And so but she's told me that over the years. And when you're younger, you think like, oh, it's my parents. I'm not really gonna like listen to what they say. Um, but yeah, I would say that would be an perfect example because she reminds me.
I wonder if that's something that might be an insecurity for her, you know, um, like feeling maybe feeling feeling stupid, or if it's um
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I tell her all, I say, Mom, you're not stupid. I know you're not stupid. And
mhm,
she's like, yeah, but it's the way you say it, though your delivery, your tone,
mhm,
your tonality,
Mhm.
right?
yeah.
And I know that because I hear myself sometimes like say something super quick. Like I don't really have a filter. That's probably like a problem of mine. I don't have a filter and I just say things without realizing how I'm delivering it. And she will tell me like sometimes it comes off condescending or like I'm better than somebody. And obviously that's not my intention at all. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard that before. Like
Yeah.
what you're saying, what you're saying about like sounding consent condescending, or like I talk to people like they're stupid.
I
So
get that too.
maybe
mhm.
sometimes I do, but it's not always
I do it all
intentional.
the time. Like, I think everybody's stupid. I'm
Hey,
not even gonna lie to you. I think everyone's fucking stupid. Like I swear to God, like the other day at work, I just like went off and I was just like, is everybody around me fucking stupid? Like, because it's just like I got
don't feel bad.
coworkers who quote unquote have at this job double the amount of time that I have, but they're sitting there asking me fucking questions, and I already have like enough on my plate, and then they're asking me to solve their fucking shit, and I'm just like, bro, what the fuck? Do I have to do all the fucking thinking around here? Like, what's up with you fucking morons? Like, Jesus Christ. I can be pretty bad with it. Kyle will tell you I'm pretty atrocious with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
so I feel that.
yeah. So how do you go about making your own decisions for your life? Has that always been easy? Has that been tough for you? Um,
Yes.
how do you go
Don't even
about like
hesitate with
knowing
that.
what you want? How do you go about knowing what you want?
Um, how I know what I want. I think I don't know. I get an idea. Um, and I just know that nobody else is going to make that decision for me. No one's going to give me the tools to make that decision because I didn't really grow up that way. I'm very self-sufficient and like, and so I just think of a plan. I think what I want and I can envision every single step and I
There we
put
go.
the plan together and I execute it. And I've been very blessed throughout my life
There we go.
for every major decision I've ever made has never I mean, obviously some things don't work out as planned, but I always try to look at the silver lining of things and been like, you know what, maybe it didn't go as planned, but here I am and I'm happy that I'm here. And because I've done some major things in my life on my own that my friends to this day are like, I don't know how you do that. You know, I could never do something like that. I don't know how you do that. And I'm like, to me, it's like it just comes natural. I don't even second guess it. I don't get scared about it. Um, if anything, it's like exhilarating in a way for me to be able to challenge myself. And because I've done it so many times, I know I can do it and it'll work out.
Hmm. So I just want to ask more. I mean, we're done. Me and Thomas are done. When it comes to envisioning the steps, like how do you go about that?
Um, I mean, I guess I just I don't know, I just know it has to happen. So I will think of like, all right, you know, what's the first biggest thing I have to do, you know, first thing. And then, all right, what's the second thing? And then that's going to lead to this. And I just think of it in my mind. I don't really write things down. It's just kind of like once it's in my brain, it's burned into my brain. Like I just remember it. And then obviously over experiences of doing that, right? I've learned to do it. Like now I could literally do so many things with my eyes closed because I've done them so many times that it's just
Hmm.
become second nature. Um, yeah,
So would you say you're pretty good at anticipating things?
yeah,
You say it's like
I
what?
would say so.
Yeah. Do you say like you only need a little bit of information to kind of know where something's headed?
Yeah. hmm
Yeah.
Just based off life experience, based off experiences in general, other people's stories, like kind of knowing just life. I feel like I could have a pretty good idea of the outcome.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. T, we done here, man?
I just want to ask one more. I know you said you really don't think about the future a whole lot, but I'm just curious, like if I asked you, like, do you have like a general idea, like, maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, like where you want to be, like what, in terms of like where your life is at or what you want to accomplish?
Oh, for sure. Do you want me to elaborate on this?
Yeah, if you can. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously it's, you know, I'd like to be with somebody in a partnership, like married, you know, kids depends. I never really grew up like having that kind of innate desire to be a mom,
Hmm.
but you know, that's something like it might happen, it might not, whatever. But I would like to be definitely settled down. Um, I'd like to have the ability to travel a lot, like my career, to have a good career. I mean, I have a good career now. I'm definitely career driven, but like I said, I'm not, money isn't everything to me. So I don't need to be just like putting everything to the side in order to like make X amount of dollars. As long as I'm enjoying my job and making a good amount to where I'm happy, I'm good with that. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, you want to you kind of like challenge, you know, I'd like to challenge myself, whether it's in a climbing the ladder in my current position, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I just want to ask one more. When you were a kid, were you still like envisioning things itself as a kid, or was that something you got like later in life?
Like thinking about the future or
Like envisioning, like let's say hypothetically, as a kid, you wanted, I don't know what women do for as a kid, but like you're like, hey, I want this X, Y, and Z thing. Were you like envisioning the steps to get to that? Like, oh, is that like how did you see that as a kid?
maybe I don't know because I mean I was definitely involved in sports. Like I played basketball for many years. I really enjoyed
Mhm.
that. So I always
Mhm.
planned on like, you know, next year I'm gonna make it to, starting guard or whatever. Like I would
Mhm.
have like little goals in mind, I think. Um, I left home at 17, so I planned that like my whole senior year.
Oh shit.
I I moved, graduated high school and moved. So I'm originally from Maryland, but moved out to Idaho when I was 9 years old. My mom moved my brother and I out there. And then my senior year, I realized like I wasn't really, like I said, I wasn't really big in school, so college was never like a vision for me. I
Mhm.
just wanted to get out there and start working and make money and be on my own and support myself. So my senior year, I knew I wasn't going to stay in Idaho, so I already started planning to move back to Maryland, and like stay with my dad for a few months until I got a job, and then I was going to move out.
Okay. So I don't think you notice but how future focused you are because you're seeing the steps before you take those steps. So that would
Hmm.
be that would be future focused. Like a person who's in a moment kind of just like lets it happen to them. But a future focused person is kind of like, okay, I see this happening and I see that I need to make these moves to make this happen, and I'm gonna go ahead and start working on that today. So I would
Yeah.
say your future focus. Um, I would say here, me and Thomas, it was interesting. We kind of knew your personality type, kind of possibly, but we wanted to make sure. But yeah, so this is our board here. So what we noticed is it's very easy to tell about you is that you're direct, right? So there's two different types of
Hmm.
communication. There's people who are direct and there's people who are informing. Direct people are specific, concise, and to the point. They mean what they say and say what they mean. There's no way you can misinterpret what they say, right? And then there's informing people that kind of like make you do like blues clues to figure out what they're saying, or they may give you too much information, or you just like you can't interpret what they say. I would say Kyle is informing, right? He can be very informing. Like, yo, what are you saying? Like, what are you talking about? Like, get to the point, or like, what does that even mean? Um, so that there's a difference between those two communication styles. And if you're direct, then that eliminates the 16 types that are informing, right? And another thing that stuck out was like you really care about autonomy, right? That means like you're more into making your own decisions, right? You like to do your own thing and don't like people to overburden you with like a role or something unless you choose that role. Um, you would be more about like your own personal freedom is what it's mostly about, like your own personal freedom, your ability to choose. Um,
Yeah.
like if a rule comes up and you feel the need to break it, you'll break it. If it makes sense to you, right? You're not looking for
Hmm.
like the cooperation. Like you're not going to be one of those people who like ask. You're going to do something and then ask for forgiveness. You're not going to be like, "Oh, can I do this?" Like, no. You're like, "No, that shit don't make sense. I'm breaking it."
That is
Um,
literally like I always joke with my friends. I'm like, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
yeah, yeah. So
That's funny
the
you
pe-
said that.
so people who think like that are pragmatic or they have a utilitarian type of mindset, where they say the ends justify the means. Okay. So being pragmatic, that eliminates all of the affiliative types as well. So right now there would only be four personality types: is ESTP, ENTJ, ISTP, and INTJ. You talked about like your routine structure, everything has to be color coordinated, like organization's big for you. So we hit that for structure. That means your brain looks at the system behind things, right? Like, okay, if I do this, like, what's the system here? There's a system, like, even at your job, you probably think, like, there's a system here, and I just need to figure out the system and plug and play, right? That's how your brain is,
Hmm.
like, one of the best things about NTJs is the plug and play. Like, they can be bad at things because they kind of see people as like numbers a lot of times. They can be very like people are numbers because it's like the system. They see it more like that. And then there's
Hmm.
motive. And they always ask like what does somebody get out of a situation? And that's the first thing they like to look at. And let's say, for instance, if you're emotive, they like everything to be upfront before they do something. Like they're like, Thomas gets this, I get this, right? Systematic people are like, nah, I'm not really interested in that. What's the system behind it first? Right? You may
Hmm.
shock, like somebody might shock me, you, and Thomas if they say, I get this, you get this. You're like, oh, hold up, because we don't think about things when it comes to that from that perspective. We look at like the overarching system. There's something behind here. If I could get my hands on the system, then I can get what I want. So that's important. You're systematic. You're also abstract. So what abstract means is like you're more about what if, the possibilities. You're about things that are outside of the five senses, intangible things, right? And then there's people who talk about
Hmm.
boring shit like the news, what is, like pretty much anything that's just normal,
Yeah.
like, that type of thing, or they'll talk about the
Yeah.
past a lot. So you're more in the abstract space, so that you probably have abstract hobbies. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but a lot of women are into like horoscopes and big on the horoscopes. Um, or like there's other little things like I don't really know like all of the stuff, but there's so many of them. So with that being said, that makes you an NTJ, right? Um, and then what we notice between ENTJ and INTJ is that you look at the steps behind how to get something, and you're not just focused on the end product. So you're looking at step one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, and not just like, okay, the outcome. So like the thing about process people is they can get lost in the process. Like let me give you an example. Example was I'm like, okay, I need you to make 10 shots in basketball by next week, right? From the 3-point line. I need you to make them 10 back to back, right? Somebody who's process oriented will get so lost in the process that they forget that they need to make 10 shots. You get what I'm saying? So they may like
Yeah.
get so lost into it, but they'll get to the outcome, but like they're like more anal about the process of how to get there. Like so
Hmm.
they may try to
Yeah.
develop the perfect shooting form, making sure the
Right.
elbows
Yeah,
tucked,
that makes
like,
sense.
and while they're doing that, they got lost in the process that they even forget about the outcome. So that's more the process mindset. While the outcome type will be like, okay, I'm only doing enough to get the 10 shots. But see, the good thing
Okay.
about being process oriented is like certain skills like teeter on to other skills. Because when you do a little
Hmm.
more, you learn a little more. But the outcome type is going to
Yeah.
do exactly what's needed. I need to make 10 shots. Okay, that's what I'm only focused on, right? You're going to be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I got to make these 10 shots, and then all of a sudden you like, oh, well, my shooting form is bad. Okay, well, my jumping form is bad, and then all of a sudden you're lost in the process. Um, so with that being said, you would be an INTJ, um, which is interesting because you say you're outgoing. The thing about that is your enneagram may be a 3, so that means you might be like one of those INTJs that are achievers. So they always feel as though like they have to achieve. The more that they do and the more that they produce, the more that like people will like them, right? They feel as though like their production equals like, achieving equals like, so they'll be a little bit more outgoing than the regular INTJ like Thomas. Thomas is also an INTJ, but you can see he's more introverted and less outgoing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I would
um,
definitely would not have considered myself introverted. Like I have moments,
mhm.
but I felt like naturally I'm more extroverted.
Yeah, I think a lot of times what will end up happening is like INTJs are unaware how much time they spend alone, right? Like they'll
Yeah.
choose to go do something, but like a lot of time they spend a lot of time alone, right? Or they
Yeah.
really need retreat time after doing an event.
Yeah.
After
Oh,
doing an
for
event, they
sure.
may they may find themselves like closed off for 10 hours or something, not
Yeah.
realizing that like they're choosing when they extrovert. So they're really not an extrovert because they're choosing when they extrovert. But if you
Yeah,
like
because
try to
that's how I
post
said
it.
like during the week I'm to myself, like do my routine. And a lot of times like my friends, like I'll go weeks without texting, like friends, maybe not like friends that live close, but in other places. And they're
Mhm.
like, Rachel, I haven't heard from you in a month. And that's because I'm just like kind of to myself.
Mhm.
Like I don't need to be like calling everybody and being on the phone and like chatty, chatty, chatty. Like I do tend to probably keep to myself more
Yeah.
often.
So like that could be one of the things that like trip them up a lot. Is
Mm,
that like they don't realize that like they spend a lot of time, 98% of the time they spend alone and they may go extrovert for 2%, but then they attribute that 2% or that need to extrovert as them being extrovert. But if you
yeah,
put an INTJ around like somebody who's like very sporadic and always need to do something, it'll burn them out real quick.
for
Like
sure.
if
Yeah.
you get like
Now you,
somebody who's like, oh, I need to go do this, I need to go do this. It's like you'll burn them out real quick, and then I'll just like
yeah.
you might not talk to that person for a week or so.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it like that. That's because I've obviously met people like that. And I'm like, oh God, this is too much.
Yeah, they'll
Like, get
drain you
away from
back.
me. You're annoying me.
Yeah, they'll drain your battery.
Yeah.
One thing about INTJs is they have this function that's in the sixth spot. It's called TI critic, and it's very critical towards logical principles. So, like when somebody breaks a logical principle, they're like, no, 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 this stupid motherfucker. Like that's why they're on people like pretty hard because if someone crosses logical principles, they will attack them and they don't even notice that they do it. And that's probably
Yeah.
what your mom complains about with you. But it's like a critic is kind of like it's just like like a reflex. It's almost like a reflex. Some people have it worse than others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like generally saying, as soon as somebody, like let's say hypothetically, somebody was to bring you an article from somebody and you read it, and you're like, this don't make no fucking sense. Like you would attack them immediately. Like this is faulty shit. Or they say
Yeah,
something like,
I probably
does it make sense? You're just like,
waste
yo,
my
that don't
time.
make no fucking sense. You know? So that's one of the things that come out a lot. And the thing about understanding how other people feel, INTJs are unaware of it. So a lot of times they think they're better at it than they really are. But a lot of times it's only afterwards do they realize that they should have done something. Like it's not that they mean to do it, it's just like it slips past them they got to put conscious thought into like understanding other people's feelings. It's not natural to them.
Yeah,
They're more natural at knowing what to do or how to get things done.
yeah,
Um,
I would say
or
that.
like productivity, how can we make this quicker, faster, better? That's what they're good at. And that kind of interferes with understanding how other people feel because if you're trying to do that, then it's like, So
Yeah.
that is the big ups there. We just walked you through all of the INTJ.
Oh,
So you
very
know your
interesting.
personality type now. They lead with vision.
What
So
do I
they
do now from this moment on?
Oh, no, so they lead with vision. So they kind of always know what they want to do with themselves and where they want to go in life. So they have a grand vision for themselves. Very good at anticipating things, anticipation, like what will go wrong or what will happen. Like they get a couple things like, okay, this will happen. Let me plan for that.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much it. I mean, the only thing you could really do is, try not to attack people with the critic as much,
Yeah,
critical function. You seem though you got everything pretty well because you're out there, you're getting out there. A lot of INTJs can like stay in behind a lot of scenes. Um, but you seem to be getting out there and stuff, so you're doing pretty good. That's all we could say. Thomas, anything you
yeah,
want to say?
I mean, no, I think you covered it pretty well. Yeah, I think I mean, it was pretty clear early on that like what your type was, but yeah, like you said, I think we just wanted to be absolutely sure.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was a pleasure,
thank
and
you. Very interesting.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure Kyle will tell you more about INTJ. He knows a good amount. His dad is one
I
as
don't know, is that
well.
a good thing or a bad thing?
His dad is one, so
Okay,
he deals with him quite a bit. Pretty
okay.
sure Scott called him stupid several times this week. Um, it's just how it goes. But it was a pleasure, and hopefully I get to meet you sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All
I
right,
enjoyed
well,
this.
all right, take it easy.
uh, thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.